When I was at district conference, I heard Dr. Borden, and I was excited. I thought what he said was great, but I really never considered that, hey, we might get to go through this at Eden. It just wasn't on my radar in the slightest. That's stuff that happens to other people in other places. It never happens to us.
As we thought about churches in our district where consultation would be a possibility, Eden came to my mind pretty quickly, and so I began to pray about that and think about that, and just felt real confirmed in my spirit that we ought to give it a try.
My initial response was, let me think about it, but I didn't think about it very long at all. I mean, I was hungry for the opportunity for somebody else outside of my circle and outside, of my expertise for sure, to be able to come alongside us.
I had no clue that Dr. Borden would be coming to Eden at district conference last year when he stood on the stage. Richard came to me and said, guess who's going to be the first church in the district to go through this assessment? And I was apprehensive at first.
First of all, I was like, you crazy. That's what my thoughts was. What's wrong? I mean, I thought we were good. I thought we were where we needed to be, I thought we were doing the right thing, but as I listened, I realized, well, hey, there's stuff that we're doing right, but there's a lot of stuff we're doing wrong, so I guess in my initial thoughts wasn't too much for it, but the more I heard, and the more I learned, and the more I saw, and the more I heard Dr. Borden talk, I realized, hey, we got a long way to go.
Well, at first I think I was a little hesitant because I was like, okay, well, there's somebody from California or somebody not from here that's going to come in who's an outsider who doesn't know how we do church at Eden or what our community looks like and stuff like that, and he's going to come in, evaluate or tell us what we need to do different or essentially what we're not doing well. And so I was just like, this is a little weird because I felt like, especially growing up here and being a part of the community, that he didn't know us the way that we know us. And so at first I was just like, I don't know how I feel about the change or feel about somebody coming in who's an outsider, I guess. But my perspective changed a lot after he got here.
I was really impressed with Dr. Borden and actually kept everything that he had shared in the notes, and then I did some research on him after the fact, and he was everything that Pastor Hall had described and more.
It's not been a discouraging process at all. It's been a very humbling process. You have to be at a place where you're ready to receive critique. That's not always easy to do, because generally, if I do something, I have a reason why I do it that way, and I probably like my reasoning. And so for somebody else to come in and say, you need to do it differently, you got to be willing to hear that, and you've got to put yourself in a place where you're willing to hear that.
I didn't want somebody coming in that was going to look at my husband and say, you need to do this, this, and this. And if that was the case, I knew it wasn't going to work. And when I left that evening, I had complete trust in Paul and what he was doing and how he was doing it.
I felt like I was with brothers. I felt like I was with people who weren't here to tell me what I was doing wrong. They were here to help me discover how to do it better.
Immediately within the first 30 minutes, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. I didn't feel like he was an outsider once he got here. I really felt like that he, knew us and knew our church and just wanted to aid us in the process of doing things more efficiently for Christ.
You want to talk about humbling? We turned in all of our papers, all of this packet of material, and to sit around the table and have this assessment team say, the highest number of converts we can count for any 1 year is 6. You think that's doing good?
Reflecting and asking myself in the ministries I've been a part of and then the ministries that I've watched other people serve in, were we making disciples and were we actually going out into the community and was our focus outward instead of inward in what we were doing for ourselves as a church
As you have opportunity then to share the entire report, I think in its context it's important to realize that obviously each church has their strengths, and so you're able to highlight those. And then when you get to the prescriptions, I guess there's a little bit of concern in terms of how that is going to be received, because the prescriptions are, first of all, they're highly specific in nature. It's not nebulous. And secondly, there's a timeline attached to it, and then sometimes there's a cost factor attached to it. So as you go through those things, you're wondering exactly how it's going to be received.
Some of the prescriptions that we were given, I know, was against the thinking of some of our people in our church. And I'm saying our older folks, because I put myself in that category. I wasn't sure how the reaction would be. There were some changes we had to make that we were going to make, but I didn't know how folks were going to respond to it, but they responded greatly to it,
You had some people who were like, yes, let's do this change, let's go, and then some who were like, I don't know about that.
When we got the prescription and we decided that we were going to go forward with it, the people that had at first been a little bit hesitant about it decided we are at a crossroads. We can either get on board with what is going on with our church, or we can take a different path and leave. And what was very humbling was that most of them decided to put what they thought at first was best on the back burner and give God what was rightfully His.
I think it takes a big person. And I hope I can be this big someday. To disagree with something pretty strongly, but because you're part of a team and part of a church, you're willing to lay that aside. My respect and honor for those people went out the roof.
The people that I expected the loudest complaints from are now the people that raised their hands during worship. The people that were against having coffee in the church are the ones bringing it in. It's just the people that you didn't expect are now the ones that get it the most.
It's just kind of been this sigh of relief that, everything is going to be okay.
I think that the situation on Easter was almost like a new church.
So Sunday morning comes, we put all of this into it. Our guts are laid out. We have nothing left to give Sunday morning. And God just showed up and showed out.
People who had not attended in a while, I think, were shocked at the changes and the energy in general and just the sweet spirit that was here.
And people would slow down as they passed by because it looked like an event. It looked like something's going on there, which was great because they brought attention to a church that nobody really paid attention to before.
Since then, people that weren't here on Easter Sunday have been back the Sundays following, and they've given their life to Christ, and they're here every Sunday.
There's just a big story there that's happening as we speak.
When I talk about this community being the meth capital of the upstate, when you look at the stats of single-parent homes and the poverty level that many of the people in our community live in, we have boldly said God has called us to change the culture of our community. I don't know how you do that. That sounds really good. But I believe God can do that. And I want to be the church that's known as the church that is the community's church, because we're making an impact with so many people in our community.